walking and breathing mantra, a living triple entendre. We don't follow the trends, we invent and redefine genres. Pride and egos is the realest.
Growing up in Providence, Rhode Island, Gary Neal Jr. always had an artistic and inquisitive mind. During the 80s, drugs really had an effect on his community and almost sucked him into a life of crime. Gary had a knack for skipping school and forging his grades as well as the grades of other people.
What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? It doesn't get any better than this.
Oh, man.
We got Gary Neal Jr. in the house. This guy is CEO, entrepreneur, prolific writer. I would say most importantly, an inspiration to many. And for those that don't know his story, you will be truly inspired. How you feeling today?
Man, I feel great. Woke up and I had this on the agenda, so I really felt great.
Oh, man, that's what's up. That's what's up. And, you know, welcome to the Mental Margarita Show. Now let's get right into it. So Providence, Rhode Island is where your humbling beginning started. How was that like growing up during the Reaganomic era?
Man, man, as a kid, it was almost like we fast forwarded. You was watching wrestling and all this other stuff and cartoons. Next thing you know, the people were, instead of playing G.I. Joes, was out there hustling. So it flipped overnight. People were you went from, I remember my stepfather, he used to send me to the corner store to get cigarettes, and sometimes you get a bag of weed. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
Now all of a sudden, the very older cats that were doing that, it got replaced with teenagers.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Yeah. You remember going to the store and getting some Lucy's, huh?
Man, I remember cigarettes at that time was $1.10.
Oh my goodness. Boy, has times changed.
For real.
Now through all this, you're going to school, and you're not going to school because you're skipping school.
Man, oh God, it was terrible. I was a master at skipping school and changing grades. I changed grades so well that when I got kicked out of, I guess, the state, you could say, because my mom kicked me out to live with my dad. When I got to the new school, they couldn't even put together my grades. They just asked me to pick a grade. And they were like, because I like, how the ink on the report cards is like a purplish tint.
Right.
So this is bad to even say, but I would use the blue pen, and then I'd lightly tap over the blue pen ink with the pencil to give that purplish. Oh, I was a beast. I was a beast.
For all the kids that are at home watching this,
don't do it.
You know what? I tell you, kids are not even going to school anymore either. They're doing it online. Before you know it, there's not going to be anybody going to schools anymore.
Hey, that's true, but it brings me to an interesting point, because I covered that in the book. I think everyone's a genius. Everyone has genius in them. And if you think about it, everyone's got a phone and they got unlimited knowledge at the palm of their hand anyway.
That's right.
So realistically, they're charging you, and which is bad, is they actually charge you for education, and they try to pretty much crap on people's experience. But the thing is, they're selling the person's experience, because the book didn't write itself.
Right.
So they literally gangstered these people's experiences and then pimped it out and sold it to everyone else and called it education.
Wow. I'm telling you. How amazing is that? Now that's cold. Now, I don't know if it's as cold as when you got shipped to Minnesota to be with your father. Because I
Man,
mean, I'm sure. What was the culture shock there now in Minnesota?
crazy. So, like coming from Rhode Island, people don't think of it being really mixed culturally, right? So, being in Rhode Island, I really only went to school with like 5 white cats
Wow.
in Hope High School. Hope High School, Jeffrey Osborne went there. A bunch of people went there. There's a lot of people from Rhode Island.
Wow.
Yeah, there's
Jeffrey.
a lot of people. So, yeah, so going to Minnesota, the weather was crazy. The coldest I've been in was 40 below actual temperature with a negative wind chill of 80 degrees.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then to add insult to injury, it was such a culture shock because now I'm like one of 5 Black people in a big school, and if I blink, I mean the police know it. It was crazy. I got stopped picking up somebody. I'm walking through the I'm thinking, I seen these undercover cars. I'm like, oh man, that's what's up. Okay, I wonder what these guys are doing. Not knowing it's for me. Not knowing it's for me. 5 undercover cop cars, the Crown Vics.
You know it,
Man,
baby.
they pulled up. I'm like, man, who this for? They stop, put your hands up. I'm like, look around. You. I said, oh. Man,
You threw up the touchdown signal.
the touchdown signal. I didn't score, but terrible.
And I mean, when I'm thinking about that, because during that time and even in times now, it still exists, but I'm sure that might have been rough for you.
When I graduated high school, my dad's real 50-50-ish. So it's like, I'll pay for your school, but you're gonna get your books. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I get into school, and the cool thing about higher learning is like you have an idea of kind of what you want to do. So you might have a tendency to do better than you do in high school because
Right.
You're on the line for it. You got to pay for it, right? So I'm doing good the first few months, like the first 6 months, and then I dealt with this chick, and I just totally like I was skipping it. So then it got to a point where my dad's like, "Hey, you gotta figure something out." And me, I'm a small dude, so I'm like, at the time, I'm like 5'6", maybe 120, and my dad's like, "Hey, you got to do something." So I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna go to the military." So when I decided to go to the military, I walk straight to the Marines. I'm like, "Yo, I ain't a killer, but don't push." Then yeah, it was wild. So I get to the Marines, and oh my God, another culture shock. The first night they started yelling at me.
Oh man.
Oh my God. Man, they were spitting while they were talking, and they're like, "I dare you to wipe it off." And I was like,
oh my God.
Yo, it was it was definitely a culture shock. But survived it. And then I went on to the Army after the 4 years of the Marines.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
You were stationed in South Korea, and also during 9/11, the Pentagon.
Yeah, definitely. Ironically, South Korea was great. South Korea was one of those things. It was the first time I really been overseas. So I had a chance to see a different culture and how people relate to, Americans and stuff like that, which was really an eye opener. And then when I got back to the United States, I got to be stationed in DC at the Pentagon. And when that happened, oh my God, it's crazy. Like, we were the first shift that actually had to pull overtime because everyone else got sent home that day. And then we got called in. to actually fill in. So and we worked while the building was on fire still. Just a real crazy time frame. It was like a war zone.
I can
Yeah.
imagine. I can absolutely imagine.
Yeah. Then after that, I left the Pentagon to go to Afghanistan. So I went from the frying pan into the fire. So and did
Uh,
7.5, 8 years out there. So
and
yeah.
how was that? How was that experience? I mean, because I mean, during this time, everybody is really going through, the emotions of everything that's happening. And it
Mm-hmm.
was such a shock to the world. It was so devastating. So you being so close, front and center, and then now you're going to Afghanistan. I mean, what's going through your mind at that time?
Man, honestly, I had to get it because my ex-wife at the time was blowing money and not doing what she was supposed to do, and the mortgage was behind. So at that point, it's like it's like I don't know what they doing over there, but you paying at that time I was getting paid like 120. I said, hey, I'm out. Hey, you
Right.
hey, I don't care what we got going on. So I got over there, and once I got over there, ironically, within the first 15 minutes of me being over there, I knew people. So I was like, I know people over, yeah, because they wasn't even supposed to be there. And I got there, and I kind of learned the ropes and stuff. And then as everything started, progressing, like years later, I started running a camp over there. Um, like a site, for communications and stuff, and I was supporting a lot of heavy hitters. So
Wow.
yeah, literally, I could probably be in a, I could literally probably be in a documentary from history, from the stuff that we've dealt with and touched. So yeah, crazy.
And your life had so many different points, and for an outsider looking in, and I'm sure all of our lives, we all go through highs and lows. But interestingly enough, what I love is that when I observe your life from the outside, you you had a chance, you had certain points where you had to make decisions, and it seemed like those decisions catapult you into a different realm.
Upon graduating high school and a brief college stint, he entered the Marines. After spending 4 years in the Marines, he spent an additional 5+ years in the U.S. Army. Gary was stationed in South Korea and at the Pentagon during 9/11.
In the thick of things, and you experience all kinds of different things, and I'm sure that for television's sake, there's a lot of details that you probably couldn't talk about, but it was definitely something that has impacted you, but could have impacted you more negatively,
Mhm.
or it's something that made you appreciate life itself once you survived it, or both.
Yeah, it definitely has a firm impact. What I tell people dealing with a lot of this stuff is make sure that you have an understanding of perspectives. So not just seeing things from your point of view, but others. Another thing I would say is basically like learning how to not let stuff stick to you as much. Quick story with that. I had a guy, I was a young man. He was about like maybe 21, 22, somewhere around there. And we was in Afghanistan. He was in the army. I was contracting. Now, every now and then what we do is, they come over, play video games and just kind of, relax and take the steam off and stuff like that. And you get to know these people. So what ends up happening is, once you get to know these people, you know their tendencies, how their mindsets are and stuff like that. And so one day I see him in the morning, and when he gets back in the afternoon, he's looking distant. Now, when I approach him, I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he's like, he's wanting to talk, but he doesn't know how to phrase what he's about to say. And he said, "Man, we went out on a mission, and there was these people in the back of the convoy, and it was too close, and he had to shoot somebody, and he actually had to kill him."
Wow.
And like he was trying to process that. And sometimes what it is like when you're in a different environment, you have to do different things. You can't relate everything to the environment that you came from. You have to react in the environment that you're presently at. So talking to him, I had to get him to understand, like, sometimes people force you and force your hand to make the decisions for them.
Right.
And you can't really take the responsibility because you don't know what could have happened. It could have been a dangerous situation. So, and your decision in that moment not only affects you, it affects everybody with you.
That's right.
So yeah, things like that, it's,
Wow.
you realize how close you are to danger and all that other stuff, and then how it's going to affect you later on in life. So yeah.
And that's what I want to get into. What were some of your coping skills that you developed, okay, to live with those memories that you had in Afghanistan? I mean, the warfare is going on. What were some of your coping skills that you had to go through? And do you feel there's anything specifically that can trigger you now that you have to be aware of?
Those are great questions. For anybody dealing with any type of traumatic incidents in life, whether it's the war zone or whether it's just life in general, I would say, like I say, perspective, seeing things from all kinds of different points of view and in different angles, because there's a thing called relativity. So what's positive for you in the same situation may be negative for me. So it's all relative. So things happen to people, and my idea is things happen to people sometimes because they're strong enough to either go through it, or it's a reason for, it may not be for you, it may be for somebody that's close enough to you to be motivated to change something or do something about said situation.
Sure.
But like I say, not letting stuff stick with you too long. I think that's a big thing. I know it's hard. You got to compartmentalize, put things in its proper place to keep going on with what you got to go on with. But not only that, not letting yourself get too weighed down in whatever the situation is. So you got to let that, kind of wash it away to the side. And I think sometimes over time, you have a chance to.
In June 2006, he went to Afghanistan as a U.S. government contractor. As a contractor, he provided support to some of the most elite warriors across the globe. Gary ended up getting a divorce while overseas and had to mentally reconcile the family effects of his decisions. Several years later, in a failed relationship and being laid off from a $315,000 gig, he lost everything.
Now, let me ask you this. What is your opinion, okay, on how the country should go about preventing terrorist attacks like we had, during 9/11, which was so unfortunate? How do we go about preventing that from ever happening again in the magnitude that it did?
This is a difficult question, answer, and statement, because like the average person doesn't realize that the United States is always under this threat. So it's not like, wow, hey, it just happens. This is something that happens daily, probably thousands of times a day. You don't know what threat is going to be credible. So the
Wow.
thing,
Great.
yeah. So the thing is, it sucks. You could be as proactive as you can, but realistically, you're gonna be reactive in a sense, if that makes sense. Because think about it. No one thought before 9/11. So September 10th, no one ever thought that someone would use a plane as a weapon.
Right.
Now all of a sudden, September 11th, you realize different. So the thing is, you don't know, you can't prepare for what you don't even know about. I just think that it's crazy, but it's like the more security focused that you are, the more the liberties of the American people are going to be affected. So it really is on us as a people to figure out what we want to do and how we want to do stuff. Because the more strict they are, and the less amount of freedoms that you have, you might be more safer. But at the same time, you may not want to vibe with that. So
it goes back to you can't please everyone, huh?
Yeah, you can't please everyone. You got to thread that needle in there like Tom Brady.
Now that's the patriotic way, huh?
There it is.
Now, seeing the war zone in other countries and then seeing a complete replica in our inner cities, do you think we're failing as a country when it comes to our own backyard? When you see the amount of violence that is going on in our inner cities, and are we providing enough help to our fellow Americans opposed to other nations?
Oh, another one that's tough. Are you familiar with Thomas Sowell?
No.
Great author, Black author, brilliant guy. But he's conservative. He's highly conservative. And he was talking about welfare, right? And he said, you realize before the 60s that even though, Black people had it hard, they were much better off than after they got welfare. He said, it's literally like 60% or something like that of the families back then are living better than they are now. And what you realize, if you take it in a smaller level, if you think about it, it's like, imagine you got a cousin. Your cousin every day asks you for money. You give your cousin money every day. Does your cousin grow up and learn how to provide for themselves or not? So it's like you got to strategically reward people and incentivize people to do better, but you have to let them toe some of the weight too. Because if you don't, they're going to take it as a free ride, and you're going to cripple them instead of give them a leg up.
We learn as we go through life, by tapping in with others. It's so true because, on this show that you're on, this is what I do. I'm tapping in. And right now I'm tapping into Gary Neal Jr. And look, Gary, we got to go back to the documentary, man. It was great talking to you, but I got some more to tell the audience about you.
Hey, I can't wait. And like I said, definitely tap in with me so I can get you some merch, and I get you a copy. Hopefully the new book, we're going to be dropping it this summer.
How do they reach you, Gary?
You can reach me at pride_egos, which is EGOOS at Instagram, or you can email me at grr719@gmail. And if you DM me in there, any of that other stuff, I'll be sure to answer.
You heard it, guys. You heard it. Gary, we got to bring you out to Vegas soon.
Can't wait. I love Vegas.
In the summer of 2017, he decided to create his brand, Pride and Egos, an acronym standing for people representing individuality, diversity, and equality everybody got our own story. The brand was established on his twin boy's birthday, July 19th, as a way to connect with them and start a legacy. With all the time missed in his children's lives, the brand seemed like the perfect way to bridge the gap and establish something that lives on forever.
Pride and Ego's line of athletic wear is a brand that tells a story about people representing individuality, diversity, equality. Everybody's got our own story. What's your story?
Pride and egos is the realest. Pride and egos, it isn't just a brand, it's a walking and breathing mantra, a living triple entendre. We don't follow the trends, we invent and redefine genres. Pride and egos is the realest. Global, not local. Global, not local. Pride and egos is egos. Realest. Pride and egos.